Vancouver Hockey Show back once again. Andrew Wadden, producer Aaron here with you. A day late, but we did the same thing we did on a Monday because we wanted to wait until the game had wrapped up. Another Monday nighter for the Canucks as they return home and face off against the Vegas Golden Knights. A big one tonight. Like, we're going to get to that one in just a second. But I mean, this team was reeling a little bit going into this game against Vegas, right? And the road trip, I mean, 1-2, not good. Ever since the All-Star break, everybody knows.
It's that summer road trip that we don't talk about to this day. It's just, it happened, but we don't talk about it.
Well, what happened on your summer road trip there? Do you want something that you want to tell the audience? Or
no, I mean, that's filed away in forgotten history. It didn't get that film developed.
yeah, exactly. That's how old we are. But again, going back to the All-Star break, they're basically a 500 team, and then you get on that road trip, you face off against two quality opponents, guys you could see in the playoffs, and don't end up having any results against them. Nothing, no points. And I'm talking about the game in Vegas and, of course, the game in Los Angeles. They do get 2 points against the Arizona Coyotes, and as they should, as they go into the mullet and edge out the Coyotes 2-1. Okay, so let's rewind this all the way and go back to that VGK game that kicked off the road trip. 2 minutes in, they're down 1 buzz. And then by the end of the first period, it's 4-1. And the game just unraveled from there. Canucks chased it. They cut the lead to 2 at one point. And I know Ferraro was sort of begging for that. Just got to get it to 5-3. And he said it, I think, late in the second period. And they ended up scoring I believe it was like 90 seconds in or something like that. And, Ray referenced it. I'm just like 90 seconds later, whatever. And then 20 seconds later, it's back of the net again for Vegas. Yep. I mean, they responded twice in the game within 20 seconds or whatever it was. Less than a minute, put it that way. So they go off to Arizona and they face off against the Coyotes and Conor Garland.
Very next night, by the way.
Yes, back-to-back. The last back-to-back of the season. Garland gets the game winner. Tocchet praised him afterwards, said, Conor loves coming back here to play. We saw Arthur Seeloffs once again, and he was solid in the game. Got high praise from the head coach as well. So a tidy victory over the Coyotes, as it should be for the Canucks. There is just one sort of wrinkle to the Arizona Coyotes, and actually there's many wrinkles to the Arizona Coyotes if we really wanted to unpack that franchise.
It's an unironed shirt at this point.
Oh, it's an unmade bed. Lumpy as well. Dylan Guenther, who at the time scored his 13th goal. I don't know where he is now. We're rewinding almost a full week back. He was the first-round draft pick that was a part of the OEL trade with Louis and Roussel and Beagle. They get it. OEL. It was, what is it? The white whale? Is that what it's called? When you're searching for that white whale. That's what it was for Jim Benning. That trade. He needed OEL. Everybody said don't do it. Anyway, we don't have to go down that again, but Dylan Guenther would have looked pretty good in a Vancouver Canucks uniform, I might say, especially on an entry-level contract. Okay, they go into Los Angeles, and
seemed like a nice day to start again in Los Angeles.
Oh my God, what was with the Billy Idol stuff?
Man, they went hard on that.
Hard on it, like clearly they got paid by the record label to really go in on it, or maybe they're trying to sell the concert. I haven't seen that much Billy Idol since 1988 or so. Seriously. Although I did like Murph's interview with him. That was really cool. Murph did the snarl.
Yes.
I think Murph did it better than Billy Idol as well.
But I'm also amazed a man of his age, and that was his first hockey game.
Oh, I didn't catch that part. Really?
Yeah.
And he's an LA guy too, or he would have been at some point in his life. You think he may would have went to a Kings game, and especially when Gretzky was first in town, all the celebrities came out back then, and he was. But anyway, that's
money well spent, because now we're talking about it on this podcast. Anyway, let's get to the game.
Well, the game itself, I mean, they lose 6-3. They're down 2-0 early. It was power play goals by the Kings. Again, just that's been one factor that the Canucks really got to get control of, is just taking too many penalties, especially when they're, simple sort of hooking, tripping penalties. And, the head coach has talked about it already. The Kings kind of push them around, really. And that's what the Kings will do. They don't match up well against the LA Kings. They really don't match up well against the LA Kings. I don't think they want to see them in the first round. So yeah, they wrap up the road trip. 3-gamer, 1-2. They get 2 points out of 6. Not good. Then they're home here in Vancouver. And of course, we're basically recording this right after the game. So a little bit of a post game here for us. Interesting little note as well. The Canucks first time beating Vegas in regulation at home. So now 3-6-2. So it wasn't like the first time they'd beaten them at home, just hadn't done it in reg. But they were down early in this one as well.
Yeah, it was looking pretty grim, kind of a replay of what happened less than a week ago.
And Artur Silovs got the start. Casey Smith wasn't great on the road trip. It wasn't on Casey DeSmith on the road trip, though. And this was one of those games that when looking at the calendar, I wonder if the Canucks thought that they would go DeSmith still in Vegas with, the 2-day gap between games coming off the road trip and then, give Silovs the Coyotes again. I don't know. Maybe I thought too deep into that one. Just thinking, maybe what they saw on the road trip, well, maybe we might want to give Silovs a chance to play some quality competition. Maybe it was always mapped out like that, because I don't think there's really any sort of backup controversy or anything like that. We were sort of chatting about it on Twitter. A buddy of mine floated it to me saying, would Silovs be the right guy if Demko got hurt, God forbid, in the playoffs? And at first I was like, I don't know about that. Like, they got the Smith in here and he's the backup and he's been good. But then after the road trip, you're kind of like, well, and then they announced Silovs today against Vegas. So
I think it was it was an option to be a good test. And it's like, let's just see. Absolutely. Let's just see.
And I wonder if it even crossed their mind. Like, they're in the playoffs down in Abbotsford. J-Pat and I were talking on Twitter. Farhan was in the conversation as well, because it was a subtweet that I did of Farhan from the morning skate, just announcing that Silovs was going to be the starter tonight. And, J-Pat said it to me as well. He's like, well, would they rather him sit on the bench or be playing playoff games in Abbotsford? So, obviously it makes more sense to have him playing games down in Abbotsford. Regardless, in this game, he wasn't great early. No. Didn't love the one that snuck through him. Eichel on the power play there. And, it was a bit of a screen, but you kind of got to fight through that. He basically got it. He just couldn't pin it. So, but he was better as the game went on. They were down again, though, 2 buzz early. The power play, their own power play, though, gets them back into the game, which is really nice to see. Brock Besser gets his 40th goal of the season, which is outstanding to see. JT Miller records his 100th point of the season, which is also fantastic. And then Conor Garland, 400th career game. He has himself a night. 2 goals. He's up to 18 now. No wonder. We're at game 78 here, so 4 games to go. His career high is 22 in a season. Can he go 4-4? Maybe 5-4? He's been playing great hockey.
Mm-hmm. There's some great chances in that game. But quickly, did you see that little exchange between Garland and Miller on the bench after Garland's second goal?
Yeah. Did he say to JT, like, was that your 100th point?
Yeah. He looks up at the scoreboard and he slaps and he's like, dude, that's your 100 points. And Miller's just like, yeah.
Hey man, that's quite the accomplishment. I believe that he's the 7th. Yeah, he's the 7th Canuck to do it. And that's 400 career assists for him as well. So, JT having himself a night, having himself a career as a Canuck. It's just unbelievable, really. That trade, like, for how scrutinized that trade got and to see the results that they're getting out of them, that is an absolute win, for Jim Benning and, his regime back then. The pro scout on that was absolutely nailed it. And he's just like, can you think of or imagine the Canucks right now without JT Miller? And like, obviously there's things that you don't like about him. You didn't like the fact that he, showed up his teammate last year, banging on the net, didn't love some of the, giveaways that we used to see on a consistent basis from JT Miller, but he's really cleaned that part of his game up. And then the offensive production, I don't know if I didn't see a point a game player when he was coming here. I didn't see, a 99-point player like he has been in the past. And now he's, 100 plus. We'll see where he gets to, but
man, face-offs too. He just told Miller, like, nah, just a couple centimeters that way, bud. And then he wins it right to him.
Nah, he's the quarterback out there for sure. And, mentioned it on the pod before, like Quinn Hughes is definitely the captain of the team, but Quinn Hughes goes about his business much differently than JT is. JT's that alpha dog in the room, right? It's really cool to see as well post game tonight, because there was those chants going on with the Conor Garland during the game. And then the post game, he's doing the interview with Kate there, and the crowd just starts going and they can't even start really. And then like he turns to her and it's like, all right, let's get this going. So that was really, really cool to see. And rightfully so for Conor Garland. I mean, the guy's gone a long way at the start of the year. There's reports that his agent's saying that he wants to have a trade. And I know that he's come back and said that was, taken out of context or whatever, but who cares now? I mean, he's here and he's producing for the Canucks. And I'll tell you what, that guy, when it comes to getting into playoff mode, that guy is locked in right now. I didn't mention the score there in that VGK game. Of course, everybody knows it when they listen to this pod. And 4-3 for the Canucks. So,
well, it's a win too.
W. Exactly. That is what is needed right now because the Oilers are hot on the heels, right? Like the Canucks were starting to fuel McDavid and company behind them. And they got a 5-point spread now after a Monday night's win. But 2 games in hand for the Oilers there. And they also do face one another.
Big Saturday night in Edmonton.
Yeah. So that's going to be massive this Saturday. So regardless, they were able to get themselves a little bit of a cushion there with the 2 points tonight. I want to acknowledge Quinn Hughes just a little bit. Up to 71 assists, I believe it is on the season now. And, breaking his own record, which was held at 69. He got the 70th against the Coyotes. But a really cool stat here that Cam Robinson from Elite Prospects has dug up. And Cam's, he's a good follow, man. I love the stuff that he puts out there. He's not just a prospects guy. He's always digging up little nuggets as well. Really good dude as well. But he tweets, Hughes joins Bobby Orr and Paul Coffey as the only D-men to record 200 assists over a 3-year span. So how is that for company?
And like you said before, just going about his business.
He's 24 years old, which Cam points out in the tweet as well. Like, I mean, he's hands down, and also Cam says this in the tweet, the best Canucks defenseman in franchise history. I mean, but that's like, everyone knows that. It's really remarkable. I can remember I was working at TSN 1040 the year that Quinn Hughes got drafted by the Canucks. I was probably getting into prospects a little bit more than just because of the job. And at that time, like, it was death march, right, for the Canucks. So all you're doing is really looking at prospects as you hit, I mean, essentially March. I mean, really it was right after January or so, but you can't really start digging into the duty. You got to save some meat on that bone for later on in the year for something to talk about. So we're digging into prospects and just finding out more and more about this Quinn Hughes guy. And I mean, look at it now. Like, I mean, not going to say the best drafted player in franchise history because obviously the Sedins are there and they hold that. But boy, when it's all said and done, where is Quinn Hughes going to rank amongst the best players to ever play for the Vancouver Canucks? I mean, he could surpass the Twins. It's just unbelievable what he's doing. The franchise record for assists in a season is held by Hendrick, which he did in that Hart Trophy winning season when we had the Art Ross that year as well. So he had 83, his 09-10. 75 is the second most. So 4 games now for Hughes. Let's see if he can get over that second most, right? Because I got a feeling that Hendrick's record is not going to stand for very long. Quinn will be all over that. Let's talk about Petey for just a minute. I know that he's been scrutinized quite a bit lately. The point production is down. Like that's something you can look up. It's obvious. But at the same time too, he's doing a lot of really good things on the ice. And a lot of people are pointing out the production that happens while he is on the ice, if it's not necessarily, him in on the points. I noticed his defensive game really well tonight. And he had that like pool cue shot that he tried to do with the empty netter, which was a heck of a lot of skill, to be quick in the moment and also to try to do that. You know what I'm talking about, right, Aaron?
Oh yeah.
With the empty netter. Yeah. That was
the slow. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. And then the last second. Nope.
Yeah. That was slick. I am really interested to see where Petey's going to be in when it comes to playoff mode. So like talking about Garland, who's just engaged, like how many times, just to praise Conor Garland again, how many times you see him like down on that one knee that he loves to do when he gets real low on his stick? Like how many times did you see that sort of squirting through your picture tonight?
Yeah.
Right? I want to see that on a t-shirt. Just him down on that one knee, like.
Or him just spread out one hand on the stick, throwing it back to Joshua for that great chance.
Him and Dakota Joshua, just the chemistry is unbelievable. But back to Petey, though. I'm really interested in what he's going to be come playoff time, like come getting into playoff mode. We know Petey produces, but there are times when Petey can Houdini on you, right? And just sort of be lost in the mix. But though, like once he gets the puck, like anything can happen. I'm just wondering if the snarl is going to come out a little bit, because when this sort of ramps up, and if they do face, Vegas in the first round, which as of this evening, as we record this, that would be the case. No, actually, no, it wouldn't. Excuse me. That's right. They're behind Dallas. Dallas is on a tear. They're 9-1 in their last 10. So yeah, no, they'd be Nashville right now. But regardless, if they played someone like, if they do had to face Vegas in the first round, like that's going to get big boy hockey at that point.
Oh yeah.
And Petey, I'm wondering where that's going to be in his game, because we have seen him get physical at times. And he
tried to throw himself on a check, and it was a big swing and a miss there in the first period.
Yeah. So. He did have that interference call tonight as well. There's a bit of, there's always questionable officiating. So like just, griping about it is just, it's dumb, because I think every single fan base can do it. Right. Because there's always something, but there was a couple of Vegas incidents tonight where you're like, really? You went down that easy, eh? So yeah. Curious about where Petey's game is going to get to, though. Really want to see him, get into playoff mode and really, take over a game. Because the big time superstars in the league, like you really notice them on the ice all the time. Petey sort of floats in and out of that, right? And when he's in that, I mean, look out. I mean, major factor for the Canucks in the postseason. Also, a major factor, obviously, would be Thatcher Demko, who looks like, I mean, hopefully, is going to return possibly Saturday. I know Elliot Friedman reported on headlines over the weekend that he would be surprised if it was anything earlier than a week obviously being Saturday in that game in Edmonton. So keeping our eyes out on that. He can be off LTIR, so we'll see. But hopefully we'll see Thatcher Demko in goal on Saturday, and then, maybe get the last 3 games of the season being Edmonton on the road, Calgary at home, and then Winnipeg on the road to wrap things up. Lastly, I just want to do an acknowledgement to Noah Juleson, the Canucks nominee for the Masterton Trophy. I mean, here's a guy that has really kept his head down since he's been, picked up by the Vancouver Canucks organization. And he had pedigree. Like, most people know this as well. Like, he was drafted in the first round, but like, that's in 2015, Aaron. Like 9 years ago. And, he's kind of started to make his sort of first true, I don't want to say home, because he's been in other stops in the NHL and has been, a lot of press box as well. But he's kind of really set himself a little bit of a home here in Vancouver. And whether it is bouncing back and forth from Abbotsford, and he's been able to stay with the big club for a lot this year. I mean, he set career highs in games played. He set career highs in points this year. I mean, this is a guy that, I mean, you ask people around Montreal, like, it looks like they rushed his development. Like, he was close to 20 minutes a game in his rookie season on an awful Habs team. Just a terrible Habs team. So to see Noah Juleson sort of, hey, first round pick, feeling pretty good about yourself, playing for the Habs. I mean, one of the storied franchises in the NHL, getting big time minutes. That comes with big time pressure, especially in the, hot box that is the Montreal media. So good for him to, persevere and continue to stay with it. And, here he is in Vancouver, a local product as well now. So I don't know if he's going to win the Masterton. I don't know if his story is as compelling as maybe others, but hey, tip of the cap to Noah Juleson. All right, so we will be back. I think we'll be back to our regular schedule program in English for next Monday. So we'll be able to unpack what is the rest of this week that is ahead. So staying at home, playing the Coyotes, then a big one on the road against the Edmonton Oilers. Looking forward to that one, and looking forward hopefully to the return as mentioned earlier, of Thatcher Demko.
And then we got to figure out our playoff schedule. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to get determined, though, until after the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially the way things are shaping up right now. Because, yeah, Vegas is just 2 points behind Nashville, but they have a game in hand. Look at the St. Louis Blues. Let's just update this because we've done it the last 2 weeks. Remember I mentioned 2 weeks ago, I'm like, the Blues are 5 points out. They're basically out of it. You know, We took a look at it again last week. What were they? 5 points out. And here we are as we record this, 5 points out. So it looks like it's set in terms of the teams that are in there, but we'll have to see where the wild card spots land. And yeah, I mean, the LA Kings is sitting there with 93 points right now. So that spot in third in the Pacific is still up for grabs. And I mean, hey, the Canucks haven't locked it in just yet.
Could be big deciding factor on Saturday.
Yeah. Massive game. Massive regulation game for both sides. We'll be here to unpack it next Monday. Are we good? We done?
Yeah.
All right. For producer Aaron, I'm Andrew Wadden. Thanks for listening, everyone.